Why don't we have a government yet? We're going to ask that question of Erica Stanford shortly. First, though, Labour MP and former Police Minister Ginny Anderson is facing a bullying complaint. The complaint, involving a teenage girl, has been sent to the President of the Labour Party by a parent. It alleges she yelled at my daughter and my son. She said, maybe you should have done more door knocking and I would have won. This was aggressive. Also, allegations that she yelled at the daughter on the phone for not campaigning and called the daughter useless and made her feel little. Joining us this morning is Labour MP Ginny Anderson, the outgoing Police Minister, and National MP Erica Stanford for our Friday panel. Good morning.
Good morning, Ryan.
Hi.
Thank you for being here. I'm going to ask you in a second, Erica, why on earth we don't have a government yet.
Sure thing.
It's been a month since the election. First, though, I think it would be remiss not to start with you, Ginny. Are you a bully?
No, I'm not a bully. First of all, I'd really like to say that the only person in the Labour Party who can be blamed for losing the Hutt South electorate is me. And I want to make it really clear that, yes, I did say on the night we should have done more door knocking, but in no way at all did I intend for that to be directed at that person. And if it was taken that way, I wish to sincerely apologise. That was never my intention.
OK, so on the night you lost, you told your volunteers they should have done more door knocking?
I said in general we could have door knocked more as a reason why we were behind. OK.
And have you ever yelled at teenage volunteers?
I do not recall yelling, and no other person heard me yell that night. I did say those words, but I have no recollection of raising my voice.
OK. Do you raise your voice so often it would be hard to recall?
No, I don't raise my voice in generally. I believe
so you
that
would, on that basis, you would remember yelling?
Yeah.
OK, so you're saying you did not yell?
I have no recollection of yelling that night.
They're different things though, aren't they?
Yeah, I don't recall yelling.
OK, but you never yell, so you would recall yelling. You've said that.
I always like to hold myself in terms of being professional and being able to do those things well. And one of those things is treating people respectfully, and that's something I always do. OK.
Did you yell at this girl on the phone, as the parent alleges?
All of those issues, I would actually like to be able to have the opportunity to sit down as part of the process that the Labour Party is conducting. I've known this volunteer for a number of years. I know her family really well. I would like the opportunity to be able to sit down and talk through what happened and to offer my apology. I do believe this has been a misunderstanding, and I would really like the opportunity to put it right.
Did you yell on the phone and did you call her useless?
I don't recall doing either of those things, but what I would like to do is hear from them and understand.
Again, do you often call volunteers useless?
No, I do not.
So you would remember calling?
I would.
And you're saying you don't recall doing that?
I do not recall doing that.
So are you saying you didn't do it then?
These allegations were made a number of years ago. I think it's really important as part of the process that the Labour Party is putting through that what we do is address all of these. I would like to give you lots more detail in relation to this, but in order to protect the individual and to protect the process that's going ahead, I don't want to go into that level of detail.
By just clarifying whether you were aggressive with a teenage girl. You don't have to say her name. And the thing is, her parent has emailed the media. So that's why we're talking about it.
I understand why you're asking these questions. I totally get that. And I want it to be made clear to viewers that if my words have caused any hurt, if my actions have caused any hurt or offence, I sincerely apologise for that. And I would like the opportunity through this process to put that right.
Can you see how any of your actions, whether you recall them or not, might have upset some people?
I was really surprised to get this complaint.
OK. How many complaints have you had?
I've not had any complaints from volunteers in the past.
Have you had complaints from staff?
Not that I recall. There hasn't been any instances.
Again, I'm sorry, this is getting just a little bit annoying, the not recall thing. Do you get so many complaints that you would not recall getting this? No,
I don't. There have had instances in the past where I've had a disagreement with staff. I've never had an instance where I believe that I've raised my voice with a staff member or done any of the issues that you've indicated here.
OK, so you've had issues with staff in the past that have had to go to mediation. Did it get that far?
No.
Okay, so what level was it at then?
Look, I've had sometimes in Parliament when you're working hard and fast and pressurised relationships, everyone sometimes has moments where they probably could have been better, but I've never had an instance where I've raised my voice. And what I want to say for this particular instance is that I'm really sorry that this volunteer has construed my words in a way that was directed towards them. That was never ever my intention.
Have you apologised directly to this person or their family?
I've reached out to their family, and I would really like the opportunity to sit down with them.
When did you first get the complaint or hear about it?
Yesterday.
Okay, and that was the first time you'd heard of any of this. And when did Chippy find out?
I believe yesterday when it hit the media.
Have you spoken to him yet?
Yes, I have.
What have you spoken about?
I just reiterated to him that I was really sorry that my words had been interpreted that way. That was not my intention, and what I wanted was the opportunity to sit down with the volunteer and her family to be able to talk this through and apologise.
How many out-of-Parliament staff have you been through since 2017, do you know?
I'd have to recall it 6 years, so I'd have to go through and tell you that.
We've been told it's 11. Would that be a number that was...
Is that including ministerial office or...?
Outside of Parliament.
Okay, I'd have to go back and check on those numbers.
Okay. All right, well, let's move on, because we can't sit here talking about this all day, but I felt it was something that had to be addressed, given it was sent to us in the media. Erica, where is this government? We've had a week now since specials, and we've had a month since the election. Is it not reasonable we could expect progress by now?
I think it's been a lot of progress. You've got to remember, as you rightly pointed out, we only got the final results on Friday last week. So before then, there was only so much we could do. And we did, I know I'm not involved in that top tier negotiation, but I know that there was a lot of relationship building going on, a lot of meetings with where we could. But you know, the final results were only out on Friday, so there's only so much we can do. And there are, you know, 3 parties involved in this. And I know that Christopher Luxon wants to get this right. And I know Chris well. I've worked with him now for, you know, the last 3 years. And one thing I know about him, he always wants to get things delivered. He's very impatient. However, when it comes to the detail of important things, I've watched him up close, and I know he wants to get this right. So ongoing it'll be.
All right. So that sounds to me like, don't hold your breath for this weekend. It's going to be at least next week before we hear some.
I haven't had any updates. I mean, I did get a nice text message yesterday from Winston actually giving me a big update, but it turned out to just be a prank, so.
Actually?
No. I tell it a yoke.
Okay. All right. So no real progress. I asked you last week whether you had been spoken to about ministerial posts yet by Christopher Luxon. Are you now at that stage of the conversation?
No, I've not heard anything at all about.
See, that's frustrating because you're not even there yet, which means they're not even there yet, which means it's going to take a while.
Well, look, I'm not sure it's going to take that long, and the people I feel really for at the moment are the staff, because they're the ones, and Ginny will know this, that, you know, at the end of the election, they essentially lose their jobs and are waiting, you know, for a government to be formed as well. So they're the ones I'm really looking out for at the moment. They're having a tough time in sort of limbo land. It's much worse for them than it is for us.
Yeah, true. Let's talk about the capital gains tax, wealth tax question, because that was something that came out of the meeting you guys had on Tuesday. How firmly against the idea were you previously, and how do you feel about the potential for it being Labor policy now?
Well, I think it's when you have a new start. It's, as the Prime Minister, or Chippy, has said, it's pretty much a blank slate. So we've got the opportunity now to go back to the drawing board and have those discussions early on about how we want that to take shape. So I think that's quite exciting. I'm looking forward to being part of those conversations.
Are you, like, personally, how do you feel about those issues? Because I know some in caucus have quite strong views on it. Others are more expedient about the whole thing. Where do you sit on the spectrum?
Yeah, I'm open to having a discussion about it. I'm really interested. It can take lots of different shapes and forms. I think it's really important that we do that work early on. You don't have to announce your election policy, as National did, until right up before the election. So we've got at least, you know, a good 3 years to be able to do all that good work.
Speaking of, how confident are you that you're actually going to be able to deliver that? Because Chris Luxon, well, there's wriggle room, I think, in your delivery of your promises on tax. Do you think that that's an acceptable outcome from a coalition negotiation?
I'm not going to speculate on coalition negotiation outcomes, but, you know, Nicola Willis was very clear that tax relief will be delivered under our watch.
Yeah, but like in the form you promised it.
No, it's outside. It's well above my pay grade.
Fair enough.
And how's it funded?
Yeah, and how's the revenue been raised? Okay, let's move on. Talk about the attendance rates for schools, because we've had new numbers out. This is for term 2 of 2023. 47% of students met the criteria for regular attendance, just 47%, but that is up 7.2% from term 2 of the year before. This good news, at least it's getting better?
Last year was a massive anomaly, and mostly driven by sickness, where we had a big COVID spike. So it's not fair to compare it to last year. You really want to look probably back to 2017, 2019, before COVID, and look at term 2 data then, where we were up around 60 and above 60, I think, in 2017. So it is very disappointing, and this is the legacy that Chris Hipkins, as Education Minister, has left. He will go down in history, I guarantee you, on the data and the statistics, as the worst Education Minister we have ever had. Those statistics are grim. Those children have very little chance over time of gaining good qualifications and going on to live the life they want. That's why I have been saying over and over again, it's a problem that we need to get on top of, and this government have ignored it for 5 years. And Jan Tinetti just throwing in 85 attendance officers back in term 1, which hasn't had any difference at all. We've got a lot of work to do to right this after 6 years of lack of delivery.
All right, well, we're now sort of switching hats. You guys are going to be in opposition, right? So what kind of targets do you think they should be setting for themselves?
We would really like to have a cross-government set of targets, because it's great to kick this around as a political football, but the real ones missing out are young people learning. So we want to make sure we're doing everything we possibly can to increase those attendance rates. And what we are seeing is, yes, they have improved, but we've got more work to do. And part of that is having a conversation with, schools have got a duty to make sure they're chasing up, but so do parents. Quite often when I looked at, there was a recent article I think I saw where one of the main reasons for the past year was COVID or sickness over winter, but the next one was that parents take their kids on school holidays during the term because it's cheaper. So, as a parent, I'm guilty of doing that, and we should not be doing that. We should be prioritising our children's attendance at school, and we still need to get that message through. Yeah,
we certainly do. Guys, thank you so much for coming on this morning, and thank you for answering those questions at the top. I appreciate it. Labor MP Ginny Anderson and Nationals Erica Stanford.